Hi everyone, this is Marie Blue Angel, and I am back with the last part of Love and Country. So, if you've been keeping up, last time we finished out one of the versions of Anton's route, and today we can see a different version of that route if we made a different choice. Um, that story was a little chaotic. I mean, in a very good way, in the sense that it was keeping me on my toes. So I'm very curious to see if we make a different decision, what exactly will happen. So we're not going to load in. We're not going to load in a save. We're going to just jump to a decision. And again, this is where we have to decide if we're going to accept Anton's dinner invitation or not. And last time we did, and that led to a series of events. And this time we'll see what exactly happens if we refuse and go straight to seeing if we can find Herbert Denham. And then what do you say? Abandon your passport and find Denham. Whatever game Anton is trying to play, I don't have the time to get caught up in it. Very true. Getting to Denham is the priority. Once I've assessed his situation, then I can figure out what to do about my passport. I think not, Anton. Anton's eyebrows fly up in surprise. Clearly, he wasn't expecting me to decline. I straighten my back and look him dead in the eye. I'm not about to let anyone strong-arm me into a dinner date, no matter how handsome and charismatic they might be. I have to keep the mood light, despite my misgivings about him. Keep him interested in me in a positive way. If something goes awry later, I might need his support. Moreover, I don't want him to know that he... I can't read. Moreover, I don't want him to know that he rattled me. He seems like the type that is used to that kind of thing, to use that kind of thing against someone if it benefited him. I'm relieved to see his stunned expression soften into one of amusement. I give him a sly grin. You didn't realize I was this stubborn, did you? Yes, I've underestimated you. As I hoped, Anton seems to be responding to my spirited charm. I wonder, would I have felt this bold if I had agreed to go with him? You don't know in this timeline, girl, but in the other one, sure you did. I'm certainly anxious about not having my papers anymore, but there's something freeing about the situation, too. My core tightens when I think of how close everything is to coming undone. I quickly stamp out the feeling catching flame inside me. How will you get your passport back then? I fight the urge to bite my lip. It's fortunate that Madame de Givry can't see me, or she would be shaking her head at me right now. She's always impressed upon me the importance of tipping the scales in your favor, and currently, Anton has all the leverage. I have to leave here if I have any hope of fixing this. Anton's as stubborn as me, but he'll probably let me go if I offer an alternative meeting. After all he supposedly wants is me. Time with me, access to me. As a woman, I have the power to make him believe he can have it. We'll meet here tomorrow morning. Let's say 11:30. You can return it to me then. Or just leave it with the station master. It's up to you. Whether or not I actually follow through with these plans is still to be determined. Still, it's all on my terms. I just need him to agree to them. I watch for a favorable reaction from him, but ultimately got nothing but a scrutinizing stare as he crosses his arms in front of him. Just who am I dealing with here? What sort of normal traveling businessman would be this brutish, this unrelenting? 11:30, You're fine with me keeping your papers until then? Why not? It's not as if I have any need for them tonight. And you did want insurance that I'd see you again, right? Correct, though I admit it is a sorry tactic. It's just that I'm quite used to getting what I want, you see. So am I. He smirks. So we'll meet at this very spot, 11:30. Sure. And if I feel like it, I'll let you take me out to lunch. If. That's right. I haven't made up my mind about you quite yet. At least I've got you thinking about me. It's settled. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye, Anton. With that, I turn on my heel and scamper away. I don't want to give him the opportunity to keep me any longer. I have things to do, and my heart is about to beat out of my chest with nerves. I can't believe I'm going to attempt a rescue without a secure way to leave the country. I must be mad. Making sure to take some calming breaths on my way out of the station, I stop to buy a map and ask the vendor to point out the Hotel Lillian. It looks like it's across town, but it's at least a walkable distance. I set off at a confident enough pace. As it turns out, La Roque is a typical European town full of storybook houses and quaint shops. The streets are all cobbled, and there's even a pleasant little fountain in the town square. It's the sort of place tourists would have flocked to in droves before the war. The number of hotels I passed makes that clear. Now, though, the hustle and bustle seems to be mostly locals going about their daily business. I don't pay them much attention as I walk, but every so often my periphery is punctuated by men in gray uniforms. Soldiers. That's odd. I wasn't expecting to see so many this far from the front. Was my arrival expected? And are they looking for me? My pulse quickens as I pass yet another pair on patrol. One of them glances at me, but soon turns back to his comrade and continues on. No one is looking for me. I sigh with relief. There's no reason anyone should suspect me. Except perhaps Anton. I really think he may be harmless, just a self-confident man used to getting what he wants, like he said. But I shouldn't dismiss the possibility that he isn't who he says he is, especially given everything I saw. The way he got us through the checkpoint, he said he bribed the guard, but I didn't see money exchanging hands. I couldn't see anything over his shoulder, almost like he was blocking my view on purpose. And the way he studied my passport so intently. He said he wasn't a policeman. I think I believe that. A policeman would have arrested me on suspicion, or simply not helped me through the checkpoint to begin with. If he were a German agent, though, it's a stretch, but it makes everything that happened in the train station start to make a bit more sense. Okay, we're putting lots of things together. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen the last part, but there are many things that happen there. I turn onto the street, only to find myself staring down an alley without an outlet. This isn't right. I was so caught up in my thoughts that I didn't pay attention to where I was going and made a wrong turn. Retracing my steps, I go back towards the main street, trying to focus less on Anton and more on where I'm going. Within a quarter of an hour, I arrive at the Lillian. I'm very excited. Okay, so here's the hotel. It's a pleasant enough little hotel, warm and cozy. The decor is a bit dated, but there's obviously been a lot of care put into maintaining the place. I sidle up to the front desk, where I'm greeted by a clerk. Welcome to the Hotel Lillian. How may I help you? I'm looking for someone. I'm told he's staying here. Can you tell me which room he's in? I'm sorry, miss, but I can't give out that sort of information. Our guests value their privacy. I'm sure you understand. That won't do, but I suppose I should have known that that would be the case. I guess I'll have to turn on the charm. I give a little pout, the kind that says, I'm not upset with you, but... Oh, of course. I feign understanding for a moment while I come up with a quick ruse. Perhaps the cover story I made up earlier about Denham being my sick uncle will work here. Denham is certainly old enough to be an uncle to me. Well, I'm pleased my uncle has chosen such a reputable place to convalesce. If everyone here is as diligent as you, then I'm sure he's being well cared for. I summon the most doe-like expression I can for him. Since I'm family, you could tell me, right? I've had an awfully long journey getting here, and I'm eager to let him know that I've arrived. Well, just then, the telephone on the wall rings. Excuse me, but I must take this. Hello. With his back now turned, I make no hesitations as I lean over the counter to do a quick study of the guest book. Taking care to be as quiet as possible, I flip back a page and start scanning the lines until I see Denham's name. Room 38. Nice. As the clerk wraps up the call, I slide back and only just in time. My elbows are still on the counter as he faces me again. It's not enough time to disguise my lean, so I rest my head in one hand and drum my fingers. He frowns at the portrait of impatience in front of him, but does not seem to notice what I was doing. I'm sorry, miss, but I need to deliver instructions to our on-site doctor. Would you mind waiting just a few minutes? He directs me to a sitting area in the lobby. Of course, no problem. I make a show of settling into an armchair and picking up a ladies' magazine, but as soon as the clerk exits into a service corridor, I dash up the stairs and up to the 3rd floor. Upon reaching room 38, I rap my knuckles on the door. A woman with a pinched face and a starched cap on her head answers. Hello. It's an older woman. Oh, hello. You must be my uncle's nurse. Uncle Herbert? Peering over her shoulder, I search the room. In the corner, resting in a chair, is a pale skeleton of a man. Herbert Denham. Uncle Herbert, there you are. Without waiting for an invitation, I force my way into the room. The nurse looks annoyed as I press past her, but I'm already inside and setting my bags down before she can object. I flit across the room and bend down to give Denham a hug of greeting. His arms feel tentative as he returns the embrace. At first, I feel worried that he may not go along with my improvisation. You must be very surprised to see me. It's been an age. But when Mother wrote me that you were in the region receiving treatment, I thought to myself, Lillian, Paris isn't that far from where Uncle Herb is staying. I simply must take the opportunity to visit him. I bring up Paris in hopes that it's enough to tell Herbert that I've been sent to help. Denham seems to catch my meaning. His somewhat cool reception makes me think that he doesn't know if he can trust me or not, but he tries to cover it up with a jocular tone. Lillian, how have you grown? I keep trying to say how have you grown? How you've grown. You'll forgive me for not standing. The doctor told me not to exert myself. Let me have a good look at you. As I step back to evaluate his state, it becomes clear that his hug wasn't tentative. He's just that weak. His eyes look hollow, and there is a thin sheen of perspiration across his forehead. Getting treatment may have been a cover, but Denham's illness appears to be very real. Are they taking good care of you here? I throw a look at the nurse as I ask this, hoping that Denham can tell me something to indicate if this woman is a threat or not. Let me introduce you to Lillian. This here is Nurse Greta. Greta, this is my niece Lillian. The stony-faced nurse gives me a curt nod, but says nothing. Greta and the other nurses here keep a constant eye on me. Never leave my sight. Isn't that right, Greta? I see. So they are employing some of the medical staff here to spy on him. It makes perfect sense. The nurses are perfectly positioned to keep tabs on all of Denham's activities. If anyone is tipping off the authorities, it will be someone like Greta. I'll have to be very careful speaking in front of her. That's good to hear. It's been so long since I've last seen you, Lillian. What have you been getting up to? He's putting me a bit on the spot with this question. What information is he looking for? Confirmation that he can trust me? Oh, this and that. I try to solve for time as I think of another way I can put him at ease. I was there for finishing school, but I graduated last year. Since then, I've been staying with Margot de Givry. You two have been friends for a long time, haven't you? She said that you met while traveling in Africa. Margot. Oh, Margie. How's the old girl doing? Margie? Margot de Givry, Grand Dame of Paris, used to go by Margie? Setting my shock to the side, I'm relieved to hear this spark of recognition. She's fine, healthy, and happy. She sends her best. The mention of Margot seems to have done the trick. Denham looks much more relaxed. That warms my heart. My, Lillian. This is just such a happy surprise, having you visit me like this. How was the journey here? Easy, I hope. It's funny you should ask that. The darndest thing happened on the way here. When I was coming over from the Swiss side of the station, I got stopped at the border. You know how picky they are nowadays about having all the right papers and such. Anyway, I had my passport, but apparently had forgotten a travel license approving the trip. I thought they were going to send me home, but at last minute, this gentleman stepped in and helped me. Helped you? Yes, we had spoken little on the train, and he was so nice. He talked to the guard, and they let us right through. It's so strange telling this story in such a happy-go-lucky tone, given how very serious the problem is. Denham furrows his brows, trying to parse through my telling. I was so lucky to have his help. I think he must have taken a real shine to me because he wants to take me to lunch tomorrow. A good thing, too, because in all the hustle and bustle of the station, he forgot to hand my passport back to me after he took it from the guard. Denham's brows shoot up so fast they nearly fly from his forehead. Only, I wanted to know what you thought about the situation, Uncle Herb. He seems like a nice man, but I wasn't sure if it would be appropriate to go out to an unchaperoned lunch with a man I just met. What do you think? Oh boy, that's... Denham struggles to find the right words as he considers the problem. I think that's an interesting way to relate the story, and such a succinct way to tell the story. Feels like so much has happened, but those are the key points. Herbert says, I don't like the idea of a strange man taking around town like... Before he can finish his thought, there is another knock at the door. The nurse lets in a man in a white coat. A doctor. Or lets in. He clears his throat before speaking. Denham. He stops when he notices me perched on the bed. I'm sorry. May I ask who you are? I'm his niece. Go on, doctor. Right. Well, it appears we have to have you transferred to another hotel in the area. The Waldscotter. Transferred? This doesn't seem right. I wait to see Denham's reaction before I chime in. It is a few blocks from here, a very nice inn. You will be well looked after there. Is everything all right? I've been paying, and I haven't heard so much as a peep from my bank. Nine. It is not an issue of payment. You have an aggressive disease, Denham, and I am sorry to say that we simply lack the proper treatment options for you here. So I am transferring you over to the care of a colleague, Dr. Krauss, who has extensive experience in various cancers, especially of the lung. Lung cancer? I look over at Denham, who seems to be taking in this news rather placidly. He must have had a long history with doctors, especially if he's been fighting a disease like cancer. But something doesn't sit quite well with me about the situation. If his disease is too advanced to manage at his facility like this, shouldn't they be sending him to a hospital? The doctor sighs and claps his hand behind his back. Again, I'm very sorry we could not do more for you. That being said, we must vacate this room to accommodate another guest. So I gotta pack my stuff and get lost. Well, we have a chair ready to take you. We can send someone later with your personal effects. I don't particularly want to let Denham out of my sight now that I've found him, especially given how fishy this transfer seems. On the other hand, Denham may have sensitive materials hidden in his belongings. Giving the Germans the opportunity to go through them could be dangerous too. Uncle, do you want me to accompany you to the Wad Cotter now? Or would you rather I see to your belongings and meet you there? The doctor speaks up before Denham can answer. This is too much for a young lady to carry on her own. You should go with your uncle. The doctor's insistence that we leave together makes it clear. I'm positive they'll be going through Denham's things. Denham must have realized this too, but he doesn't seem perturbed at all. Yes, Lillian, I'd like your company if you don't mind. All right then. Denham has a better grasp of the situation than I do, so I'll follow his lead. The doctor disappears into the hall, only to return a moment later with a wheelchair for Denham. For a second, I'm filled with worry. Can Denham not walk? But Denham rises from the armchair and makes his way across the room to the doctor. He can walk, but he's hobbled by a pronounced limp. Then I recall what he said earlier about not exerting himself. Whatever is wrong with his leg, combined with his disease, I'm sure keeps him from moving around too much. The nurse helps settle him into his wheelchair, and praying Denham has some sort of plan in mind for all this nonsense, I resignedly go to collect my bags. As I bend over, I glance out the window next to me, and my stomach leaps into my throat. On the street below is a pair of German soldiers flanking a tall man in a dark overcoat and a Homburg, a felt hat characterized by a single dent down the center of the crown and a stiff brim with an upturned edge. Does that not look like Anton? A man whose mannerisms and stance I recognize in an instant. Anton. An alarm bell goes off in my head. It's all I can hear besides the blood pumping from my head to my heart, urging me to flee. He's with soldiers. He's not a businessman. He's not a friend. He's an enemy. I watch him direct the hapless-looking soldiers, instructing them by pointing to the front of the building, then upwards to where we are on the third floor. I duck my head instinctively, cursing under my breath. Everything okay there, kid? Denham smiles kindly at me, but his eyes read differently. Urgency. Concern. The doctor and the nurse whip their heads around to look at me. I give a weak laugh and smile back at them. I'm fine. I just, lost my footing a bit. Denham just responds with an arched brow. I straighten up, trying my best to remain calm. I furtively look again out the window, but Anton is gone. What do I do? I can tell Denham is now very worried after seeing my reaction. How do I tell him everything that's bouncing around my brain right now? How does one convey in coded conversation, the man who took my passport is an agent, and oh, he's in the building. Fräulein, if you're ready, we must go. She opens the door and the three of them begin to head out into the corridor. I start to follow them, but falter. I can't allow Anton to see me. If I'm seen, the whole operation fails right here and now. Every suspicion I felt I was projecting back at the station will be confirmed for him, and it seems he has the power to do something about it after all. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Denham, but I have to get out of here. I have to leave and hope I can find you at the Walled Cotter later. Wait! The nurse stops, pushing the chair, and Denham turns over his shoulder to face me. What is it, Lillian? Quick, think of something. Anything. Even if it's stupid. I just remembered. I promised Margot I would send her a telegram as soon as I got into Lorock. She was nervous, sending me all the way here by myself. The fighting, you know? Oh, yes, the fighting. I don't know if he senses something is off or not, but he does his best to support my odd story. He nods. Well, you should take care of that then. As quick as you can. I'll meet you at the Walled Cotter. I slink past them, giving Denham a small, serious look as I go. I head in the opposite direction down the corridor. The doctor shouts after me that I'm going the wrong way, but I pretend not to hear. I have to move. I can't be caught. Thankfully, I come across a back staircase at the inn, one used by hotel staff. I clamber down the stairs as fast as my feet will carry me, nearly bowling over a maid carrying a stack of towels. Muttering a rushed apology as I skirt around her, I continue my mad dash into the service corridor at the bottom. I'm about to turn the corner for where I believe the exit to be, but immediately jump backwards as a group of staff and a soldier enter the hall at the same time. My back flat against the wall, I listen for the sound of their voices to fade before I peek my head around again. They seem to have gone. I make my break for the alley exit. I'm moving so quickly with my bags that the door slams against the bricks. I know it's loud, but I have no time to check to see if anyone's come to investigate. Just keep going. Though I haven't a clue where that is. I never even asked where the walled quarter is, and I have no idea where the main street is now. I know I should keep off main thoroughfares at this point, anyway, but do I know the city well enough to even stick to back streets? My mind is racing along with my heart as I continue down the alley. My hands grip the handle of my suitcase so tightly it burns. Suddenly, a gravel path appears, one that would typically lead to some kind of pond or canal. Yes, get off the streets completely. Get your bearings, breathe, and then move on. It's not really a plan, but it's all I've got at the moment. I take a step in the direction of the path, but am abruptly blocked by a pair of soldiers coming from around the corner. I make no movement, frozen where I stand. They are engrossed in a conversation, and for a moment, don't seem to notice me. I start to back away as slowly and quietly as I can manage, but the gravel under my feet grinds. The noise draws their attention. I was wondering when I would see you two again. Time seems to slow slightly, the space between their cut-off conversation and their silence seemingly minutes long. Their eyes widening almost comically sluggish as they see me for the first time. I've been caught. Without waiting a second longer, I drop everything, pivot, and set off at a sprint. The two men call out behind me as they give chase. Hey, you! Stop! I will my legs to move that much faster, praying that I can outrun these men. I curse at my skirts as they tangle between my legs. Even at my fastest, I can tell they are gaining on me. In a desperate attempt to lose my pursuers, I make a right onto the nearest street. At the next corner, I take another turn. Ooh. But to my horror, I've gone down a path with no outlet, just a tall wooden fence blocking the way. Could I climb over? I try to fit the tip of my boot in between the planks, but find it's not enough for me to get a footing. Rapid footfalls become louder behind me, and I spin around to see the two soldiers have finally caught up. They are panting as they approach, their brows drawn into an irritable shape. My head whirls around, looking for an escape. But I am cornered. There is nowhere else to go. They are about to close in on me. I squeeze my eyes shut. When? Crunch. I hear the unmistakable sound of a fist hitting bone. When I open my eyes again, the taller soldier is on the ground clutching a bloody nose. Standing over him is none other than... Oh my god. Oh my god. Emile looks so cool. Okay. Emile. Okay. Hello, partner. Where did you get this gun? Question mark. Emile raises his fist threateningly at the other soldier, who seems completely cowed. He turns tail and runs, leaving his comrade behind. As the man on the ground tries to get to his feet, Emile bears down on him, wresting the rifle from his body. He then points the gun down at him. The soldier throws up his hands and cowers, whimpering. Get the fuck out of here. The soldier stares at him in shock and confusion, blood pouring from his nose. Emile rolls his eyes and jabs the gun in the opposite direction, a gesture the soldier finally understands. He crawls away and takes off. Emile. I love Emile. Okay? Sorry, Anton. I really do. I really do. I'm so glad to see you, buddy. Overcome by a wave of relief and gratitude, I throw myself at Emile, wrapping my arms around his neck. I feel him tense in surprise at first, but after a moment he relaxes and accepts my hug, holding me with one hand and the rifle in the other. We stand there embracing in the dank alley for who knows how long. Mere moments ago, things felt so urgent. Now I want the world to stop so I can catch my breath. Finally, I wrench myself away and I stare up at him. He is staring right back, his blue eyes searching for something in mine that I can't recognize. Is this the same man from last night? The crude, careless drunk with the ratty scarf? Somehow, in this moment, there's no way he can be. He clears his throat and lets me go. Well, that was interesting. Yes. Thank you, by the way. I thought I was done for. As my eyes drift down modestly, they land on a familiar object a few feet away. Regret washes over me. Oh no. I run over to my forgotten suitcase, now covered in dirt, but otherwise rescued from the alley where I dropped it. One of the soldiers must have grabbed it. They weren't chasing me at all. They were trying to return it to me. I slapped my hand over my forehead. What happened? I'm having a bad day. A very bad day. I can see that. That could be because of me. I'm sorry. Wow, Emil apologizing first? I'm kind of shocked. Did he just apologize? Yeah, I know, right? He is at least partially to blame for the situation. If he had been at the train this morning, it's unlikely I would have ever engaged with Anton. Emil would have been there to help at the checkpoint. I might have avoided suspicion entirely. Where were you this morning? Doesn't matter. I wasn't there when I was supposed to be. He looks down at his feet, ashamed and repentant. And he's right. It wouldn't matter if he did tell me what happened. I want to be angry with him, but I can't muster it. Not on the heels of being rescued like this. Well, I'm glad you are here now. How did you find me? By accident. I was on my way to the Lillian. You and the soldiers ran past, so I followed. It's lucky that you stand out. Not in a bad way. Just your hair makes it easy to spot you. Wow, we're kind of getting a different side of Emil, and I love it. I'm glad, too, never mind. My hair? I tugged down the brim of my hat, doing my best to hide my telltale hair from view. Not that this helps much. Emil seems just as flustered. What happened, anyway? Everything has gone wrong. Emil listens patiently as I recount the day's events, his brow furrowing deeper with each detail I add. So, that asshole has your passport. Denim has been taken to this other hotel, and soldiers might be actively looking for you now. That's the long and short of it. Well, it will take some time, and we will need to get a photograph of you. But I can make you a new passport. Make? Making documents. That's what I do. Yes, our little forger, forging his documents. I love that. That was what he meant when he said he could get us across the border. He probably would have forged travel licenses for us, too. I wish you had been there earlier, or then I had waited for you. Well, it's probably good that you got here when you did. Otherwise, we wouldn't know where they took Denim. That's true, though I don't actually know where the Walled Cotter Hotel is. There was a shop around the corner. Maybe you can ask for directions. He points at the map poking out of my handbag. Where will you be? Keeping an eye out for soldiers. I'll be no help to you in there. I don't speak German. Oh, right. Do you know how to use that? I point timidly at the rifle still slung over his shoulder. He glances at it. Just point and pull the thing, right? My goodness. We stare at one another for a moment. Without a word, I carefully remove the gun from his person and set it on the ground. That's a good move, I think. Let's get going. I hear no sounds of protest from him as I gather up my luggage and head for the street. Yay, we're reunited. Spy buddies. Inside the shop mentioned, I can't help but watch Emil through the window as I wait for the shopkeeper's attention. He lights a cigarette and leans against the wall. How much did I misjudge him last night? He was fairly annoying at the bar, but all his drunken antics may have made me completely overlook the Emil here with me now. An Emil who might be agreeable, who's quick on his feet, contrite even, when it counts. Is this what it is like to have a partner? Once the shopkeeper points out the watercolor on my map, I step back outside. Emil glances at me through pieces of black hair hanging in his face. Are we good? Of course we are. Let's go. Following my map, I set off down the street at a good clip. Those two soldiers Emil scared off before could come back any moment with reinforcements. They have proof I'm guilty. I ran from them. Or what's worse, Anton could reappear. It's best to just leave the area as quickly as possible. As we walk across town, the sky starts to darken, not just with the setting of the sun, but with gray, ominous-looking clouds. Seems like it's going to rain. Large drops begin to spatter the ground, almost as though Emil's words had summoned them forth. Oh, little droplets, I can see them. Nice touch. Soon the rain is coming down in sheets and walking becomes impossible. We duck under the overhang of the nearest building. I shiver. The air outside is already cool, but this early spring rain makes it downright chilly. This is no good. We can't just stand still while people might be searching for us. Come on, this way. I don't know why I said it like that. That sounded more not what I was doing for Emil's voice earlier. Anyways, come on, this way. Taking my hand, he pulls me across the street and down an alley to a side door. Oh, where are we? I duck inside as soon as he pushes it open, relieved to be somewhere warm and dry. This is a new scene for us. It takes a moment for my eyes to readjust in the darkness of the space. There are pots and pans lining the wall, a small wood-burning stove in the corner, and a hutch full of fussy china pieces against the wall. We're in a kitchen. I whip around to Emil in a hurried whisper. Wait, is this someone's house? Relax, it's fine. Nobody is home. How do you know that? It's dinner time. If someone were home, they'd be in the kitchen right now. You could tell from outside the lights were off, so no one was home. My eyes narrow in suspicion. I mean, it is 5-something, so based on that clock on the left there. Who thinks like that? Has Emil broken into houses before? I mean, probably. I would suspect. To some degree. Watch this. He takes a spoon from the counter and balances it on the latch of the kitchen door. We'll go sit in the room next door. If anyone comes in, the spoon will fall and make a noise. We'll hear it and duck out before anyone notices. I'm deeply uncomfortable with the idea of breaking into someone's home, but when I consider going back out in the downpour, I start to rationalize our choice. We aren't taking anything. There's no harm being done. No one will ever know we were here. Fine. Seeing that I've given in, Emil gives me a smirk before strolling into the next room. I slink behind him. We find ourselves in a small sitting room. Emil throws his wet coat on the ground before plopping onto a doily-covered sofa. I peel off my own rain-soaked outerwear. I'm not sure where to hang it and eventually give up and laying it on the ground next to Emil's. Unsure of what to do with myself, I wander the room, stopping to inspect a shelf lined with little porcelain cherubs. Have I seen this Emil before? And I'm literally just losing my... He looks good with his little waistcoat and everything. Can you tell that I like Emil? If it wasn't apparent already, if you haven't watched any of the other parts, I really like Emil. The game devs really did something with this, love interest question mark? Whatever. Option. An option for our leading lady, Lillian. You should rest while you can. We'll be here at least until the rain passes. This is a very interesting collection. Quit looking at those ugly babies and come sit. With a sigh, I meander over and take a seat next to Emil. Oh, fun CG too. He's sprawled out like it's the most relaxing place in the world, legs open and arms spread wide across the back of the sofa. I watch him lean back and close his eyes with a long exhale. Comfortable? Well, way. Better than those stiff chairs on the train. I could fall asleep right here. You've done this before, haven't you? It comes out more of a statement than a question. His brows lifts, but he refuses to open his eyes. And if I have... This must be what Margot meant when she said Emil and I have very different backgrounds. His must be criminal. I mean, on a technicality, it's a possibility, but must it be? I don't think so. That's quite the assumption, but it's definitely a possibility. It shouldn't be surprising that someone who specializes in document forgery might have some experience with other illicit activities. It doesn't bother me necessarily, but I do have to wonder how someone like that would end up working for the DB. It probably makes you better at spy work. His eyes are wide open. He must have been expecting me to say something else because he opens his eyes and sits up with an inquisitive look. Yeah, it's not the type of thing that I'm trained for, but I can see how it'd be useful. What are you trained for? I'm not sure this is something I really want to discuss with Emil. Not that I'm ashamed of what I do, but this seems like a weird thing to share with someone I don't know that well. Information gathering. That's vague. He's not buying it. I cave in. All right, it's manipulating people. Mostly men. To get them to reveal sensitive information to me. That all sounds quite harsh when I say it out loud. You're talking about seduction. He looks so bemused. Why didn't you say that to begin with? I wasn't sure what you'd think of me. You think I think badly of you? No. But... What? Emil considers how to answer. It never occurred to me that people would trade sex for something other than money. Do you like it? Is it terrible if I say yes? Emil smirks and shakes his head. There's something about getting a man to do what you want that makes you feel powerful. You're blushing. My hands fly to my cheeks, making Emil chuckle. I laugh a little as well, but I feel my mirth begin to wane. Now that I'm not busy running for my life, apprehension creeps in. You think, given my training, that I wouldn't have bungled things up so awfully today. How so? I let myself fall prey to the man on the train. You liked him. I frowned at Emil, but it seems he's not teasing me. A little self-conscious, I clear my throat. That hardly matters now, does it? Emil shrugs. You just said that you fell prey to him, meaning you liked him. You believed him to be authentic. What if he was, and you're just unlucky? Besides, the chances he knew who you really were are small. He's right, I know. And I like to believe that it all started innocently. But it's hard to feel sure. I feel too exposed by him. Too known. Whatever the truth, my time with Anton was stained by what followed. I just wished I'd done differently. I feel myself fall into a sulk. Emil flicks my ear. Ow. You fucked up. It happens. Accept it. I scowl and rub my ear. That's hardly a comfort. Emil sighs and stares at the floor. Do you want to know what happened to me this morning? Oh my gosh, I really love Emil. He's opening up a lot in this section, like in this alternate version of this route. And I like that. I really liked him, so he's a bit more forthcoming. And like, also a bit like, forthcoming and a bit more pleasant, at least initially. Like, he's still himself.
obviously. But he's a bit more charming. Like when Lillian chooses to wait for Emil, like we get to know him, but it's a bit more like not sure how they're getting along. But like now we're kind of seeing a different side of their relationship where like Lillian's, I mean, overall, generally trusting him because it's now contextualized in the sense that like she's met Anton and stuff has happened, and now she's really trying to like lean in and lean and rely on her like partner, you know. Also, I just noticed that there's this little portrait of this couple back here. Cute. So this is very interesting, but I do like he's a bit more forthcoming right now. Is it worse than what happened to me? No, but it is more stupid. I turn to face him, resting my elbow on the sofa and my head on my fist. He holds his breath for a moment before exhaling in resignation. After you left the bar last night, I got bored, and so I wandered over to where my family lives. You know how drunk I was, but I definitely did not. When I got there, I was loud, obnoxious, yelling about who knows what. I was told to go away, but I refused to leave, apparently, so they let me sleep it off in one of the rooms. But they locked the door. You know, so if I got up, I wouldn't get in the way. This normally wouldn't be a problem, except I woke up before everyone else, locked inside with no one to help me. I had to crawl out a window, then break back into the house to get my stuff. By the time I had everything I needed, it was 11 a.m. You're right. That is stupid. I'm glad I didn't wait for you. He laughs and elbows me playfully. You see? We are a pair of fuck-ups. Look at how cute they are. My God. I'm still on train Lillian and Emil, okay? I want this for them. Fingers crossed it all works out. Maybe we deserve each other, Maybe we do. The smile that passes between us is interrupted by the squeak of a floorboard. My hand flies up to grab Emil's arm. We freeze, daring not to breathe as we wait to see the source of the sound. An ancient woman in a dressing gown totters down the stairs into view, her knobby hands gripping the railing for dear life. She was upstairs the entire time. Her cloudy eyes squint in our direction. They don't seem to detect anything amiss. Unperturbed, she shuffles into the kitchen. Emil and I exchange a shocked look before carefully rising from the sofa to scoop our damp things from the floor without a sound. I crane my neck slightly to see if there's a clear path to the door, but Emil puts a hand on my shoulder and shakes his head at me, a finger to his lips. Evidently, leaving the way we came in isn't an option. He nods his head in the direction of a window nearer us. It's up high, but it is at least large enough to crawl through. I slowly push it open, careful not to make the wood creak, and then push my luggage out. From the kitchen, I hear a clatter, and I freeze again. The old woman is shakily holding a tea kettle under a faucet, knocking it into random dishes on the counter as he struggles to lift it out of the sink. This is followed by the sound of rummaging. Where is my spoon? I grit my teeth and hop onto the sill, but due to my shortness, only manage to make it onto my stomach. My feet kick uselessly as I try to shimmy myself forward. There's suddenly a push against my rear. My eyes widen with surprise. Emil is trying to help lift me from behind, but in the worst way possible. It's effective enough, though I'm mortified that my rump is likely in his face. I mean, we gotta get out of there, girl. But yeah, I too would be mortified. With a heave, I'm finally through the window and into the muddy street. Emil comes tumbling after, narrowly missing a pool of brown water that's collected under the eave. The rain seems to have slowed to a drizzle, fine enough to walk in. After we're both safely on the other side, I can't help but giggle a bit as I brush the dirt from my skirt. That was crazy. I can't believe we broke into someone's house while they were home. I wish I had taken one of those dumb babies for you. What? Why? For a souvenir, since you like them so much. Very funny. Help me, won't you? Wow, Emil thoughtful or making a joke? Wow, who is this charmer? Who knows? He stands and offers a hand to help pull me up. It's a good thing you are small. Easy to lift. Without you, I might have been stuck halfway out. That's the second time I've rescued you today. Your luck must be turning around. Must be. I find myself smiling a little at this. Grabbing my bags, I lead us out of the alley. After a few steps, I get the strange feeling of eyes on me. Paranoid, I spin around to investigate, but it's only Emil. He seems fixated on the back of my skirt. Is there mud on me? No. Then what are you looking at? I twist around again, attempting to catch a glimpse of what he's staring at, but nothing seems to be out of the ordinary. On my second turn, I catch Emil's expression. He must think I'm ridiculous. Why else would he be snickering? He quiets down once I give him a scowl. It's nothing, honestly. Question mark? Are you checking her out, Emil? Like, I mean, knowing you two, yes, but like, there's less context for it here. Which way do we need to go? Changing the subject? Fine. This way. I turn right, holding my head high as I set off down the street. Emil trots behind me to catch up, not taking care to avoid the newly formed puddles in the street. He stops me with a hand on my shoulder. Wait. This is the direction we just came from. Let me see that map of yours. With a grumble, I pull out the map, if only to prove him wrong. As I unfold it, he leans over my shoulder. Ah, look at them. Also, she's so blushing hard, you know? There, you see? He points to where we are and draws his finger to the circled spot. A mix of cigarette smoke and amber cologne hits me with his closeness, and I'm suddenly very aware how warm I am with him next to me. As long as we go in the right direction, it shouldn't take us more than another 15 minutes. What? I want to reply with something clever, maybe some kind of self-deprecating joke about my questionable sense of direction, but for some reason my mind is blank. Instead, I look away, embarrassed at having been caught. It's nothing. You're right. Let's go. We turn to head in the correct direction. My eyes keep drifting over to his profile, no matter how many times I direct them to look ahead. He has pleasing features. I admire his nose, his sharp jawline. I enjoy the way his hair swings in front of his eyes like a dark curtain, and the brooding shape his brow makes whenever he's pensive. Not to mention, his behavior has changed so dramatically towards me since we last met. We feel like friends already. So, no one could blame me if I felt drawn to him. I'm not blaming you, girl. I feel like we're on similar pages. Not that I do, exactly. But if I did, it'd only be natural. Oh, you mean, you are drawn to him. Don't lie to yourself, Lillian. These thoughts continue to jog me until we reach the walled cotter. Walled cotter. That's hard for me to say. We pass between a pair of mountain lions guarding the entryway into an airy lobby somewhat larger than the Loen. Luckily, there's enough bustle here that the staff seem preoccupied with other patrons, and no one immediately offers help. This gives us an opportunity to get our bearings. Given that Anton was hot on my trail before, I don't want to risk talking to the clerk at the front desk, lest he offer up my description later. No, we need a subtler way to find Denham. Did you have a meeting place arranged with Denham? I'm afraid not. There were too many people around us to speak candidly, and I had to leave in a hurry. Then there's no plan. Nope. We are improvising. He nods in understanding, taking it all in stride. The two of us proceed to scan the heads in the busy lobby. There are a handful of staff, a few patients here and there, and one or two casual guests walking around. I'm not sure who to focus my efforts on. Emil, I'm reminded, doesn't speak German, so it's up to me to eavesdrop. But what am I listening for? A pair of doctors pass by, poring over a medical chart together. Nothing of note there, unless you find yourself interested in Mr. Engel's gout. Across the room, a little girl on crutches moves surprisingly fast away from her fretting mother. Amusing, but not helpful. I bite my lip. Time is running out. Denham has been here unsupervised for over 2 hours now. In another hour, he could be arrested. Emil, too, seems agitated. His usual cocksure attitude appears to fade the more that time passes. A feeling of utter uselessness washes over me. What do we do? Leah, you must know something about that patient. They placed him on the 3rd floor. That's part of your rotation. The head nurse will be monitoring that room herself. She is such a witch. Must be someone really important. My ears prick up. 3 nurses trapeze past, heads lowered and gossip. Yes, this is it. And it sounds like it could be Denim they're talking about. I hurriedly tap Emil's shoulder and point over at them. His eyes shine with renewed fervor. He nods emphatically, and we slink behind them, careful to keep a sensible distance away. Maybe someone rich. Who knows? They made a fuss when he came in. You saw? What was wrong with him? Don't know. He was in a wheelchair, though. Looked like death. That's gotta be Denim. I tug on Emil's sleeve, signaling him to follow me as I head towards the stairs. I think those nurses were talking about Mr. Denim. They said he's on the 3rd floor. Come on. Emil bounds up the stairs after me until we reach the 3rd floor, slightly out of breath. Now, how do we figure out which room? It would draw too much attention to go door by door. Aha! Emil points to the far end of the hall where a clipboard hangs. A roster for the nurses with a list of patrons. Denim, room 31. I turn excitedly to Emil, who grins back at me. He has just the slightest gap in his two front teeth. Cute. It's a charming detail on his otherwise darkly featured face. Once he turns away to start back down the hallway, I roll my eyes, annoyed with myself. I force myself to put distracting thoughts out of my mind as we near the door to room 31. We can multitask, you know? I'm all for it. You are paying very much attention to the mission. You're doing very well. I think, at least. With a short exhale, I knock. No one answers, but we can hear the sound of muffled voices coming from inside. I knock a second time. After a moment, the door opens just wide enough for the occupant to look out. It is a stern-looking, red-faced woman in a gray dress and white apron. This must be the head nurse. What do you want? She's extremely brusque. Hello, I'm here to visit my uncle. She eyes me suspiciously, then Emil. Denim is too tired. No visitors. She starts to shut the door on us, but I wedge my foot in the way. It smarts, but it does the job of keeping the door open. Denim calls out from within the room. Who is at the door? It's me, Uncle Herbert. Lillian? Well, don't just stand there, Helga. Let her in. Nurse Helga reluctantly opens the door and steps aside, allowing us entry. Herbert! Denim looks surprised as Emil appears behind me. Oh, Uncle Herbert, this is... How do I explain Emil? My husband. For a moment, Emil is startled, but he recovers swiftly and jumps into the act. Edward Twain. Twain? It makes sense that he'd have an alias ready, but that's a ridiculous choice. How do you do, sir? My surprise doubles as Emil's hand suddenly snakes around my waist. I swallow nervously, though whether it's because we are spinning an impromptu lie or the peculiar sense of Emil's hand resting on my hip, though I can't quite say. Both, probably. Denim looks on cautiously. It's a pleasure to meet you, son. The two of us stand awkwardly, looking from Denim to Nurse Helga and back. If only she weren't there. This would be so much easier. We need to be rid of her. You know what? Some tea would be really lovely, wouldn't it? Helga, perhaps you might... I forgot what voice I use. I am not a maid. If you want tea, you have to go downstairs to order it. Nurse Helga clearly understands English. It's good that I didn't assume otherwise when explaining Emil's presence to Denim. But it's clear that this nurse will not leave the room for trivial reasons. With an arched brow and strained posture, I begin wandering around the room, examining its contents. I act as if I'm inspecting the quality of the linens, running my finger along the furniture to check for dust. Perhaps if something were broken or amiss, I could snobbily insist Helga to attend to it, but everything appears in perfect order. My only option now is to engage her in conversation. An opportunity may reveal itself. Well, it certainly looks like a nice facility here. I'm sure they'll have all manner of relaxing treatments for you, Uncle Herb. Nurse Helga, what kind of offerings does the walled cotter have? A man in her Denim's condition should only do as the doctor advises. Emil is subtly searching the room as well. He's quietly checking drawers, though what he hopes to find, I'm not sure. I take this as my cue to keep Helga distracted as best I can. I clear my throat to keep her attention on me. I was thinking my husband and I might stay here too. We could do with a bit of relaxation. Then I suggest you speak with the clerk. Her frosty tone seems to have halted every attempt at conversation. Emil shrugs at me from behind her back. He's out of ideas. Maybe if we all left the room, we could lose her more easily. There's little to distract here, but outside we may have a better shot. I just thought you could show us around, since you know the facilities so well. I'm sure my uncle would enjoy a tour as well. I'm here to oversee patient care. I'm not a tour guide. This isn't working. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Denham rise from his chair. I'm not sure what he tends to do, but I'll do my best to let him do it. I cross my arms and sniff. I don't know what kind of outfit you think you're running, but I've had enough of you. You've been rude to me since the moment I walked in here. And if you think I won't tell the doctors what kind of women are on this nursing staff, you are sorely mistaken. Why, I've got half a mind to go straight to the manager. When he hears... Crack? Oh. Helga's eyes roll back into her head, and she collapses to the floor with a heavy thud, revealing Denham standing behind her, wielding his crutch like a baseball bat. Dang, okay. How did he manage that? His eyes are as wide as saucers as he looks down at her and then to us. Well, don't just stand there and gape like a pair of goldfish. Oh, that's what I was wondering. Denham's breath is labored. He lowers the crutch for something to lean on. That swing took quite a lot out of him. It's hard to say if Nurse Helga is going to wake up in 5 minutes or in 5 hours. That's to say, we need to get going while the going is still good. Quit dawdling. He starts hobbling towards the door. I shake off my shock and start trying to game out our next move. What about your things? Your notes? The notes are on my person. My things, well, they can be replaced. Monsieur Denham, we have a problem. Talk and walk, son, whoever you are. Time's a-wastin'. I'm just as much at a loss as Emil. All I can do is shrug in response to his questioning look. Denham is already poking his head out from the doorway. The coast is clear. He's like, I'm getting out of here, everyone. Goodbye. With that, he's into the hall. Well, he is certainly spirited. I mean, actually. We follow close behind, looking over our shoulders as we go. Soldiers could show up without warning, and none of us are disguised in any way. We're as silent as we can manage, the only consistent sounds being the short clacks of Denham's crutch. Denham said talk and walk, but it's clear that all his energy is required to move quickly. He has a pronounced limp. In fact, his left leg looks as stiff as a rod. He leads us down the hall back to the stairs. By the time we make it out of the building, Denham is depleted. We should stop here. Catch your breath, Mr. Denham. He pulls out a handkerchief from his pocket and waves it at me, annoyed. You're as bad as those damn doctors. There's no point in moving forward without a plan. And the plan I had is out the window. Denham eyes Emil with suspicion as he dabs away the sweat from his flushed face. Who are you, anyway? He is my partner, Mr. Denham. We were separated. That's why he wasn't with me earlier. No need to go into details or cast any blame. I have ready travel papers for you, Monsieur, under a fake name, but Lillian doesn't have hers anymore. I heard. I can make her new ones, but that will take some time. Not to mention, we need a photograph of her. We'll need to find a studio, and there isn't time for that. When that nurse comes to, it'll only take 2 phone calls to deliver our descriptions to the guards at the border. No, the train station is out. What other choice do we have? We'll make a run for it. Running to the border? Don't be absurd. Once we cross the river, we'll be safe, in Swiss territory. You will what? Swim? You can hardly walk. I'd wager that crossing would be a challenge, even in the best of circumstances. Emil's right. There's got to be another option. Then think of something. On the way to the river.
Okay, we're going to the river, y'all.
Having recovered, Denham starts hobbling away, leaving us little choice but to follow. Emil groans. Do you even know where you're...
My voices are getting mixed up.
Do you even know where you're going? I've had more than enough time to study maps with this town from my sickbed. This way. Remarkably, Denham does seem to have a sense of where we're going. We weave through alleyways confidently enough, slow but steady. I can tell from where the sun is setting that we are heading mostly westward. Soon the streets of Lorac become golden, and the buildings begin to cast long shadows for us to hide under as we scurry along. We are like mice in the wall, aware that there is something bigger than us outside, and far more dangerous. Denham is doing his best to keep his crutch from making too much noise, but I can also tell this effort is draining him. Emil has a troubled look on his face, as though his thoughts are far ahead of us. I try my best not to let my own thoughts wander to the negative, not to let my hope fall. This is going to be difficult, perilous even, but I have no choice but to believe it can be done. As we come up on the corner of a back street, a pair of soldiers clatter past us. Had we been going any faster, we certainly would have stepped out right in front of them. I let out a relieved sigh as we paused and leaned against the brick next to us. Oh, that was close. Cripes, they must have found Helga. That was only a pair of them. They're just on patrol. There were plenty of soldiers on the street before we even found you. You were being paranoid. He sounds like he's trying to convince himself just as much as Denham. The only way you get to be in my age in this line of work is by being paranoid. Better to assume the worst. All right, the worst is that the jig is up. So, what do we do? Keep heading toward that river. I swear to God. This shit you're carrying better end the war, Veillard. Denham looks ready to retort, but his attention is snapped away by a growing rumble. We fell flat against the wall, again, pressing ourselves into the shadow. It's an engine. A black roadster passes. Its open top allows the 4 uniformed soldiers to sight full view of the surrounding street. It's nothing short of a miracle that we have enough cover to hide. The car pulls away, leaving a haze of exhaust in its wake. The Germans will be able to cover ground a lot faster than we can in an automobile. We've got to stay off the main roads and stick to narrower streets. We have been off the main roads. How much narrower can we go? How about the sewers, I can do without the lip, son. I just don't see any version of this where the 3 of us don't end up dead. Emil, please. I rub my temples. The stress of almost being discovered combined with these 2 men now at each other's throats makes my head throb. Not to mention, I think Emil may be right. I know what happens to spies who are caught. We need to keep moving. If we continue to stand here and argue, we'll be found for certain. Look, if we need a new route, I have a map here. I pulled the map from my coat pocket. It's damp from the rain earlier, and it's beginning to tear in places. I hand it to Herbert, who folds it delicately, or unfolds it, rather. Within a few minutes, he's got a new route worked out, and we are on our way. Emil taps my shoulder and gives me a worried look, one that plainly says, "This is crazy, isn't it?" All I can do is respond with a sympathetic but resigned shrug. We're in too deep to scrap the mission now. Herbert leads us on a winding path through twisting alleys and side streets.
Rooting for you guys. Oh, it's gotten real dark.
With each turn, we lose a little more daylight. Every street starts to blend into the next as the light dims. Soon, I'm completely turned around. With the sun gone, I can't tell which way we are headed anymore. The sound of people out and about fades, too, as everyone retires to their homes and hotels for the night, and an eerie quiet settles over Lorac. Dogs bark in the not-too-far distance. It's hard not to imagine the source. Noses to the ground, pulling on leashes held by soldiers. My pulse races at the thought of our pursuers, and what will happen if they catch up to us.
Where are we? It's a full moon. How nice.
As we near the river, houses and buildings grow further and further apart. The sight of water lapping against the bank is welcome, though the closer we draw to the shore, the less cover we have. We are here, Monsieur Denham. Now what? Now we are looking for a means of getting across. I squint at the opposite shore. It's hundreds of feet across with a rapid current, a challenge even for a strong swimmer. For someone like Denham, it's out of the question. He's leaning hard against his crutch and breathing in a slow, rattled fashion, as if it's work to keep his inhales and exhales even. What about the bridge? There are a handful of bridges connecting La Roque to Basel, wide arches across the water once trafficked by traders and travelers. Now they stand unused, like monuments of the time before the war. The one before us is no different. No one even bothers to light the lampposts going across. Looks to be unoccupied, but looks can be deceiving. Let's try to get closer. There isn't much optimism in Emil's voice, and he's quickly proven right. We can hear them before we see them, the soldiers patrolling the base of the bridge. Their idle chatter carries over the sound of rushing water. There are 6 of them, 3 sitting playing cards, 2 standing and talking, rifles slung over their shoulders, and 1 paces back and forth. Emil speaks in a hoarse whisper. It's too open to sneak past, and there are too many guards. What if we try our best to talk our way through? The other side is still a border, Lillian. We would still need papers. Unless you think you are a real Pearl White. What does that mean? An American stage and film actress known as the Queen of Serials, the 20-episode series, The Perils of Pauline, catapulted her into celebrity. Who is Pearl White? I sigh at Denham's interjection. A film actress. She does serials. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Listen, the way they are relaxing, I doubt they see much foot traffic. They probably think it's strange if we approach at this time of day. And that's assuming they don't know what's happening in town. Which is not a safe assumption. Right. I don't need to see my companions' faces to know there is still a collective frown. We start to retreat, the pebbles beneath our heels scraping as we turn. Hello? We freeze. Is someone there? The pacing soldier calls out into the darkness, his comrades quieting at once. Did you hear something? We've been detected. I hold my breath, afraid of the sound I'll make if I let it go. My pulse thrums wildly, but the soldier who called out continues peering. He can't quite make us out in the darkness. I feel a hand on my shoulder, Emil nodding his head away from the bridge. We need to leave. I slowly place one foot in front of the other, desperate to avoid making noise. Soon enough, the soldiers resume their chatter, apparently satisfied that no one was there. As we put more distance between them and us, the voices fade back into the night. We double back on our trail, unsure of our next steps. The danger of the situation now seems to sit on our shoulders, tickling the napes of our necks. You want to look behind you, but you know what you'll find. Best to keep moving, even though you're frightened. The lights of the town, though sparse along the outskirts, begin to light our way again. Along with it comes familiar sounds, now even closer than before. A high-pitched whine, marching boots, and a man shouting orders. I gasp and grip Emil's arm. We narrowly evaded detection just moments ago, only to be back into the group pursuing us. Merde. Emil starts to take off at a run. I try to help Denham along, but even with my assistance, we cannot keep up with Emil's pace. Emil looks back and sees us struggling. I'll help him. Go, towards the docks that way. Emil points at me to a small strip of beach in the distance, next to what looks like a boathouse. I'm reluctant to push forward, but another emphatic go from Emil sends me on my way. Upon reaching the dock, I begin a hurried investigation. Standing on my tiptoes, I can see through a small dirty window into the boathouse. There is a rowboat inside. I walk around the back and find a door, but it's locked. As I round the corner back towards the dock, I practically run into Emil, dragging a weary Denham along. There's a boat, but I can't get inside. Locked? I nod. Emil drops Denham, who all but collapses onto me. He takes a quick assessment of the lock. It's rusty. Denham, your crutch. He snaps his fingers at us until we hand it over to him. Stand back. With an almighty thwack, Emil swings the crutch down onto the door handle. Yes, go Emil. The broken lock hits the ground with a clang. It's a good thing Lillian found that boathouse. Emil kicks the door open with his foot, discarding what is left of the crutch. Denham and I hobble into the boathouse after him. Get in. Emil immediately spots the thick rope securing the boat. He tugs at the knot, but it's pulled tightly. Don't tug at it that way. You are making it worse. What? It's a double half hitch. A knot used by sailors for securing mooring lines. What's a... No, never mind. Just help Denham. Emil pulls out a penknife from the inside of his boot and starts sawing at the rope. I know a thing or two about boats from a few summers spent helping out the San Francisco Yacht Club, but it will take longer to make Emil understand than it will for him to cut through the rope. Instead, I toss my luggage aboard and lower myself into the boat. It rocks side to side with my added weight. I try to steady it for Denim, but instead of holding onto the sides like I expect, he lays a shaking hand on top of mine. I pause. Denim's eyes are glassy and wide. Lillian, listen. He lowers his voice as he speaks so only I can hear. If anything happens, take my leg. What? As he sits down in the middle of the boat, he pulls up his trouser leg so I can see the edge of his sock. Where his skin should be is nothing but hard, smooth wood. Margie trusts you, so I'm gonna trust you too. My leg. Got it? With that, he drops his trouser leg back down. Before I can ask anything, the tension holding the boat in place releases and the end of the rope drops into the water with a plop. Emil has cut through the mooring, and it's not a moment too soon. A sharp bark in the night tells me our pursuers are not far off. We rock precariously as Emil drops his own bags down and slips into the boat. With a solid push from the dock, he sends us gliding into the open water. Emil takes up the oars and starts rowing. Whoa, okay. Go row your boat, sir. The current is strong, though, and pulls us downstream, putting distance between us and the boathouse quickly, though not bringing us much closer to our destination. Denim stares doggedly at the Swiss shore, as if he can will us there faster. We are so close, and yet the inky water still stretches far ahead of us. I glance at Emil, who is concentrating on rowing with quiet control, careful not to let the oars slap onto the water's surface. If he's worried, it's masked by determination. Denim, on the other hand, looks just as uneasy as me. I look back towards the German shore. There are dark figures gathered on the dock next to the boathouse, their flashlights moving in frantic lines across the grass and sand. My stomach lurches. They shout, but I can't make out the words over the sound of the water. We really did only just make it out. The minutes passed in these boats, spent silently praying, seemed to stretch into hours, with nothing but the gurgle of the river to mark the time passing. I stare into my lap and wring my fingers together. We're so close. Once we reach Swiss soil, we're home free. All of a sudden, a loud crack emanates from behind us. The sound dies in an echo of itself, like a firework falling from the sky. And there's a second. Get down! A third shot rings out. Emil forces my head down and throws himself on top of me as we all slide down as much as we can into the deck of the boat. We'll have to swim from here. Denim, can you manage that? Denim! Denim is crouched face down in the boat, his arms uselessly splayed out behind him. Mr. Denim? Hastily, I grip the side of the boat to pull myself closer to him, but my hand slips and I land hard on my elbows. Ooh. When I look up, I am all but a hair's breadth from him. A sheen glistens at the crown of his head. I brush my fingers against it. Warm. Sticky. Blood. Mr. Denim. No. Emil! He's been shot! Shaking, I move my head towards his neck. There is no pulse. Denim is dead. Damn. Damn! I was really hoping we'd all get out in a timely manner. We both duck as another shot comes, making splinters fly off the side of the boat. Emil wastes no time grieving. Grab onto something. I have to flip the boat. No, wait! Denim's leg. He told me to take it if anything happened. Still on my stomach, I scrambled over the wooden benches to get to Denim's left side. I try, tugging from the ankle, but it doesn't budge. His foot jiggles stupidly in my hands. As I push up his trouser leg, I see the impediment, the leather straps that keep it attached. What the fuck are you doing? There's another shot, and Emil cries out. The boat rocks violently as I try to fiddle with the buckles securing the straps. With a grunt, Emil forces all of his weight into the side of the boat, and we are suddenly plunged into the icy water. Denim slips from my grasp and begins to float away. I kick hard, attempting to propel myself towards him. He said it was important. I have to get his leg. My coat billows around me in the water, making it impossible to move, but somehow I take hold of Denim. I roll up his trouser leg and try to remove the wooden limb by force, but the leather strap keeps it firmly in place. One by one, I undo the buckles holding the straps tight. My chest burns from the lack of air. I have to do this faster. Another set of hands grabs me and starts pulling me at the heavy fabric of my coat. Emile? A wild panic consumes my body as I fight against his attempts to rescue me. I give the wooden leg another yank, the force making it twisted and on angle. A single strap going further up Denham's pant leg keeps it tethered to the rest of his body. It must be connected at the hip. Finally recognizing what I am doing, Emile pulls out his penknife and comes to my aid. He starts sawing away at the final strap, but disorientation begins to take me. I need air. I use every bit of my will to keep hold of the leg. My lungs are desperate for breath, but I know that's impossible here. How long until instinct kicks in? How long until I'm forced to give it up? Finally, the strap is cut. I watch Denham's body drift away, his arms reaching out, levitating in front of him. My sight begins to blur. The last thing I see is Herbert Denham's pale face fixed in a strange content as the shadowy waters finally pull him down at last. Hazy red clouds of blood fill the space around me. Darkness dances at the edges of my vision. Someone is tugging me. Is that Emile? My mouth gapes, letting the water in. My chest jerks, rejecting it.
Girl, we better have made it.
I feel light.
If we're not at the Swiss border with Emile also, I'll feel sad.
I feel nothing.
Okay, we'll see. Oh.
My eyes fly open and I spew water onto the muddy riverbank. I give a rattling wet cough as my lungs react to the new and chilly air. I look up to see Emile, wide-eyed and dripping above me.
Fucking hell. That's right.
He groans and he rolls off of me.
I thought you were dead. What the fuck were you doing? Every time he says puta, like, I literally am just like, I want to curse too, Bridge, but it's funny.
He collapses next to me, panting, his arm resting on his forehead. I try to lift myself up, but that only triggers more coughing. My lungs are sore. My windpipe is angry. We made it. My voice is hoarse. Emile drags his hands down his face and stares out into the distance as if trying to make sense of it all. Yes, we are on the other side of the river. But we need to hide. He takes to his feet slowly and offers me a hand. Even with his assistance, I struggle to get up. Every movement is like I'm swimming through molasses. Eventually, he hooks his arms under mine and drags me further up the bank and into shadow. We have shelter now, underneath one of the bridges. My skirt is sodden snarl around my legs. I stumble, but I do make it to the sloping embankment at the base of the bridge. It's a good spot as we're likely to get, given that Emile probably dragged us to the first stretch of dry land he could find. We crumple into a pile together. Emile seems just as exhausted as I am. I raise a clammy hand to my face and feel something knock into me. Fastened around my wrist is a leather strap, which is connected to Lenham's leg. A wave of relief washes over me. Emile must have somehow done this while we were in the water. I hug the leg to my chest in gratitude, though not sure for what. Denham is gone, and this is all that remains of him. I should be saddened, not relieved.
Though he did tell you his leg was important, so we'll see.
But nothing feels right, anyway. Nothing really feels real. I shiver violently as the night air falls on my wet body. Emile pulls me into him, wrapping his arms around me. I remove Denham's leg from my arm and set it on the ground next to us. We huddle together for warmth and silently gaze out on the black water of the Rhine. In our bemused silence, all I can do is keep replaying the same moment in my mind. Herbert Denham, slumped over, the moonlight shining on the back of his head, and his blood warm and sticky on my fingers. We didn't save him. I turned to Emile, burying my face into his chest. The awful reality is almost too much to bear. We didn't save him. We got him killed instead. We failed. I feel Emile stroking the back of my head, offering whatever small comfort he can. I realize I've been making Emile's chest warm with my breathing, and look up at him, fully expecting an irritated response. To my surprise, he's simply watching me, not annoyed at all.
I mean, if he was annoyed, he would have pushed you off already or something.
But there's something else in his eyes. Something far from here. He must be thinking it too. thinking about how close we came to the end of it all, how we nearly died. My eyes fall down to Emil's left shoulder. There's a deep red bloom coming through the fabric. Oh, a bullet grazed him. You've been shot. Have you been shot or did the bullet graze him? I can't tell. It kind of looks like a graze, but New tears threaten to come to surface, and I practically choke trying to suppress them. Emil shakes his head and shushes me. It's not that bad. The bullet, it only grazed me. I gape at him, incredulous. He was shot, and yet he still pulled me from the river to the shore. Emil. I place a tentative hand on his jaw, feeling the roughness of his stubble. I sense his body stiffen at my touch, as if in anticipation. Touching him like this feels good. It feels right. I'm not sure why. I should be feeling pain, but I'm consumed by something else. Desire. I mean, I'm all for it, but your adrenaline's going and you just survived and you're thankful that you're alive, even though you couldn't fulfill your mission fully. There's a tension between you two. Wow, this is so interesting. I kind of like how this is going, story-wise, Anyways, it's okay, Emil. You're thankful. We're happy. You survived. And now you have a moment to rest. I totally get it. He nestles his cheek into my palm, his lips against my skin. But his eyes are still locked with mine. I'm positive we're thinking the same thing. Oh. He starts kissing his way down my wrist, and my arm instinctively wraps behind his neck, drawing him close to me. I rest my forehead against his. The breath we are sharing is warm and real. For all I know, the only real thing in this moment. It envelops me, swallows me whole, and I find myself melting into his lips. Ooh. It's kind of like a post-mission celebration, So to speak, at least. It's as if I was lost in a pool of nothing before. Every sensation, every nip, every touch feels like a lifeline keeping me tethered to my body. I open my mouth further, inviting him in. Our mouths are cold, but the tongue he slips me is warm. It sends a dagger of arousal down through my body, casting away the thought that I'm not just some poor soul lost in the river. I'm here. I climb over him, straddling his lap. His kisses become fervent as he moves down to my neck, licking and biting. I toss my head back to grant him full access, running my hands along his shoulders, then up to his head to bring him closer to me. My fingers weave through his wet hair, tugging lightly. His hands travel the length of my sides and over my hips, clawing at the wet fabric sticking to me. They glide around, past the small of my back, and over to my perched backside, which he palms and squeezes greedily. My stomach flutters. I hardly know this man who keeps saving me. But I want him. No, need him. He needs me too, just as much. The sensation of his lips on my neck is so distracting that I don't almost register the sound of a rumbling car in the distance. Okay. I jerk away, immediately frozen. We're on Swiss soil now. That means we're safe. At least we're supposed to be. The Germans have no authority here. They can't touch us. I'm still shaken by the thought. What if they cross the bridge anyway? The car engine shuts off and doors are slammed. Ooh. I strain to glean some hint from the shuffle of noises. Who is above us? The muffled voices of men become clearer, and I catch the unmistakable sound of German speech. I scramble off Emil, hurriedly forcing my skirts back down. This shouldn't be happening. But if no one is here but us, who's going to stop them? It's not long before we see lights shining out on the water just past the shadow overhanging us. We quickly huddle together, pressed hard against the brick around us. I cover my mouth, afraid that somehow someone might hear me breathe and come down to investigate. They probably drowned. Perhaps, but I'd like to be sure. I won't have anyone saying we weren't thorough. The lights move closer and closer to the water's edge, illuminating the mud just feet away from us. I want to shrink away from it, but there's nowhere to go. Emil's arms tighten around me protectively. Could they have made it this far north? Though we can't see what is lurking above, it's easy enough to imagine from the scuffle of boots and panting punctuated by high-pitched whines. The question asked lingers in the air. Don't underestimate them. Believe me, I've been chasing them all day. All day? That couldn't be. Wait here. Keep the dogs on the bridge. Anton. Ew! I don't want to see Anton. I was just hoping we would be safely away. Oh, God, I hate this man. He's charming. I hate this man, though. Oh, my God. Guys! Oh, my gosh. I think this is... I don't know. Arguably, this could be my favorite route or version. I'm not sure yet. But so far, it's been very good. Listening again, I realized that I recognize the voice. It's unmistakably him. Captain, I'll call for you if I need to. No point in invading Switzerland over nothing. Footsteps tell me he was already on the move. We'll be discovered in a matter of moments. I turn to Emil and whisper the only words we have time for. It's him. Emil's confusion turns to shock as he realizes what I mean. From the train. There's no time to discuss it. We are trapped, and there is only one possible play. I remove myself from Emil's arms and stand somewhat shakily. Slowly, I make my way to the edge of the shadow, hiding us. If Anton felt nothing for me, if this was all an elaborate trap, then this will mean nothing. But if it really was all happenstance, and what we felt was real. Anton slides down the slope of the embankment. He points his flashlight directly on me. I lift a hand to shield my eyes. This is it. With the light in my face, I can see my breath very clearly, escaping the cold air and frightened pulsations. All I can make out is the shadowy outline of his hat until he lowers the blinding beam. My vision readjusts to darkness, and I'm greeted by a pair of inscrutable bronze eyes. A millennium seems to pass as I wait for Anton to make his move, to call for his men, and let the axe finally fall. The more time passes, the more unnerved I become. My resolve to be brave was dubious to begin with. How long can I stand here, staring down at a man who holds my life in his hands? Just as my hopes begin to dwindle, there is a subtle change to his mask. Is it frustration? Sadness, even. It's a different look than before, but I'm still lost. Then he sighs. The words that come from him are spoken so softly that they are almost drowned in the rush of the river. I was certain it was going to be you, but I wanted to be wrong. His admission hangs in the air, threatening to fall if someone doesn't catch it. He seems to be searching my face for something. If he knew what I was looking for, if I knew what he was looking for, I tried to give it. But I don't know. The only thing I can offer is what I'm feeling, a tangled knot with a dull ache at the center. Is that the right thing to show? The truth? Captain, a voice from above calls down. Anton inhales sharply, but his eyes never leave mine. There is nothing down here. Is he letting me go? A match of hope lights in me. Go back. Head over to the next bridge. I'll check along this side of the shore and meet you there. Yowel? Yowel. With that, the soldiers ready themselves to depart. The scuff of boots and the grumbling of men fade away until they are gone completely. A swell of gratitude overtakes me. Anton, Don't. My hope flickers. His words are the small breath of air that might put it out. I want to talk to you, and I don't want an audience. Okay. He turns away from me to look at the river. Even though the shadows cast by the brim of his hat, I can see his brows furrowed like he's trying to work out something. He's slow to return to speaking, but when he does, it's deliberate. I keep thinking about everything that's happened. When we met in the train, was that real? That he would ask me that feels impossible. I was wondering the same thing, actually. And you didn't know who I was? No. Small lights twinkle in the dark river across the water. He seems transfixed by them, but I think he's just digesting what I've said. Did you know about me? No. None of it was calculated or planned then. The tightness in my chest subsides as this new information washes over me. Anton turns back to me, a wistful smile playing across his features. He takes my hand in his. The leather of his gloves is soft. His fingers practically swallow mine. That is a relief. More than a relief. It is a comfort. Now you know why I couldn't write to you. It's not that I didn't want to. I understand. And you don't have to do that. His smile is small and bitter. If he thinks I'm putting on an act, then he doesn't understand at all. Come, I'll take you back to Basil. This is precisely what I wanted. So why does it feel so wrong? I yank my hand from him. No, if he takes me to safety now, he'll walk away from me. He'll walk away from me, misunderstanding. Again, the thought of that leaves me sick. I know you have no reason to believe me, but I do feel something for you.
Girl, I love that you just have two men, like, almost simultaneously. You're just like, I have feelings for both of you. This is wild. I love that for you. This is so complicated.
Anton goes quiet. Does he believe me? I begin to feel foolish. Is this karmic punishment for every time I've lied to someone and made them believe I had feelings that I didn't? What if we ran away? What? We could leave all of this behind. Is he serious? Before I can really process the question, Anton grabs my hand and starts pulling me up the embankment. Think about it once you're warm and dry. We'll go into town and... Lillian! I'd forgotten we weren't alone. Girl, how could you forget? Ooh! Standoff. Emil emerges from the shadows and wrenches me back from Anton's grip. You piece of shit. Go fuck yourself, German pig. Just as quickly as I tumble backwards, Anton also reacts. He now stands arms outstretched with a silver pistol glinting in the moonlight. Calm down. Emil turns to me, a furious look on his face. I'm not going to just sit by and watch this fuck arrest you. Arrest me? I mean, you guys are speaking in German. He doesn't know. Emil observed the exchange, but he didn't understand any of it. He probably saw me tell Anton no, followed by Anton dragging me away. The conclusion he drew was logical, but not correct. Emil, calm down. This is a misunderstanding. Anton, lower your gun. Taking slow steps towards us, Anton calmly but coldly lays out the situation. You weren't the only one to make it across, Lillian. This is your partner, right? It's not a misunderstanding, but it is a complication. Anton, it's one thing for both of us to walk away from it all. For us to both to walk away from it all. Neither side wins. Question mark? Okay, but you can't let Emil go? But if I let this man go, I'm actively hurting my country. The gun stays trained on Emil. Please, Anton. Our mission was a failure. Any information we had sank to the bottom of the river with Herbert Denham. We have nothing. I'm sorry, Lillian, but he cannot go free. Without warning, Emil shoves me aside, hurling me into the ground. Lillian! With Anton distracted, Emil's boot collides with Anton's hand, knocking the gun from his grip. Landing a distance away, the pistol sinks into the mud and is lost from sight. Ooh, he's gonna tackle him. With a growl, Emil then throws the full weight of his body at Anton's middle, tackling him down. Emil, no! He does not seem to hear me. I look on, clutching my chest in anguish, rather, as the two men grapple with one another, flinging mud left and right. Just when it seems neither of them is able to best the other, Emil strikes Anton squarely in the face. Blood begins to dribble from the bigger man's nose, but he does not flinch. Instead, he grunts and tosses Emil off of him with an ease I didn't expect. Emil is on his side, attempting to rise again, but slips and lands hard on his knees. Ouch. Anton uses his opportunity to grab Emil by the hem of his soggy waistcoat and force him back onto the ground. I hold my breath as Anton stands, panting hard, looming over a hunched and weary Emil. Anton, please, don't! My warning goes unheeded. To my absolute horror, Anton pulls back his leg and kicks Emil hard in the stomach. Emil jolts with the impact and yelps in pain. For a moment, it seems that Anton is content, merely watching the other man groan and writhe below him. But just when it seems there's a calm in the storm, Emil's hands thrust out to grab Anton's ankle and pull his feet from out under him. Oof. Anton comes crashing down onto his back, spewing mud everywhere. The two of them are head to toe in sludge now, like they were born from the earth. But even through their completely grime-covered faces, their eyes remain clear and furiously fixated on one another. Woo!
My god, this is crazy. What a showdown.
Anton recovers from his fall and manages to climb on top of Emil, who shields his face as best he can from incoming hits. My fingers itch to cover my eyes from this horrible display, but I can't look away. Even one blink could end this without me knowing what happened. Before I know it, they're back upright. Their feet sink down in the muck, laboring their movements. Even still, they continue to exchange blow after blow. Can't they just be bros? That's my solution to this, but you know. I inched toward the melee, frantically searching for openings, some way to stop them, to keep them from utterly destroying each other. That's when Emil, tired from the fight but not ready to give up, spits in Anton's face. I gasp. At that moment, something changes in Anton. A switch is flipped. His eyes, normally bronze and bright, seem to blacken. He responds with a swift uppercut to Emil's chin. Ouch. Dazed from the blow, Emil stumbles backwards and sinks to the ground. It's a decisive hit, but instead of taking the victory, Anton seizes Emil by the back of his shirt collar and starts dragging him towards the river. My veins fill with ice. Anton, what are you doing? Oh my god. Oh my good. No. No! I don't want to allow this. What the fuck, Anton? What do you think she's gonna say to you also? Like, actually, you think she's, I mean, like, you think after all of this, though, like, really, she's gonna be like, yeah, I'll run away with you now. Honestly, if that's the way the story is going, I'm gonna be completely shocked, but I cannot see it. Again, I am Emil biased, but still, like, overall, like, this is crazy. Anton grabs a handful of Emil's hair and plunges his head down into the rippling water. Emil thrashes his arms, his fingers desperately grasping at Anton's wrists, but Anton holds him down, strong and still. Anton, stop! You're going to kill him! Unable to stand by any longer, I wrestle through the mud to the river's edge to pull Anton off. Emil's jerking movements start to lose steam. He's drowning. With both hands on his shoulder, I try to wrench Anton away, but I'm too slight to have much effect. Anton has little trouble resisting me. In one last frenzied attempt, I wrap my arms around his waist and pull backwards with all of my might. I'm thrown as he finally releases Emil and whips around to me. His fist is pulled back and ready to strike. I stumble, landing in the water with a splash. Ooh, scary here. Stuttering, I stare up at him from the frigid river. The look in his face is not the one of contorted anger I expected. It's frighteningly cold and unfeeling. Anton's chest rises and falls with heavy breaths, his gaze wide and wild. But eventually, like a wilting flower, his fist unclenches and drops to the side. A look of horror slowly creeps onto his face. My God. Lillian, I flinch as he reaches out to me, recoiling further into the water. He stops his hand. It's the first time I've ever heard him stammer, lost for words. He stands, removing his weight from Emil's back, and trudges back towards the embankment. I dash for Emil, who coughs and gasps for air, and I pull him up from the water. Ooh, he's been beat up! Damn. What a fight, y'all. His blue eyes burn with icy fury, but he's no longer able to act in his weakened state. Shaken, I put his arm around my shoulder and try to help him stand. My legs wobble under his weight, but we slowly stagger back to dry land. Anton looks on impotently, knowing neither Emil nor I could accept his help in this moment. Unable to support him any further, I lower Emil down to his knees. I rub his back in what I hope is in a soothing way and wait for him to recover. Anton's shoes come into my field of vision, then move away. He paces back and forth until I gather the courage to look up. I'm sorry, Lillian, Anton starts his apologies, but even as he struggles through it, he realizes on some level that the bright words don't exist. What could he possibly have to say after what I just witnessed? I don't know. I don't. He trails off, full of despair. Unable to come up with anything of consequence, he turns and walks over to his coat, which lays discarded a few feet away. He reaches inside and pulls out a leather pocketbook. He removes a folded set of papers and hands them to me. My passport, now slightly water-stained, but intact nonetheless. We won't see each other again. Is this his way of saying that I'm safe now? That no one will come after me? If you ever think back on this, please remember me as I was in the train. Not like this. He hesitates, perhaps hoping for some assurance from me, but I'm not sure what to say at this point either. Anton bores down at me. His blonde hair, usually so kempt, now hangs like a curtain in front of his eyes. He's in better shape than Emil, but he somehow looks more defeated. He sniffs and gingerly wipes the blood from his face. I simply watch him, waiting for some explanation that I know I'm not going to get. He sighs, resigned. Goodbye, Lillian. He turns and walks off into the night.
Goodbye, Anton. Dang, I was worried for Emil's life there.
Emil coughs, grumbling as he finds his feet. Fucking fucker.
Potential fine. You don't have to remember that one.
He staggers away, bracing himself against the stonework of the bridge. What was that? My voice sounds small. Emil pauses from wiping the mud off his face. What was what? That! None of that needed to happen. Not from my side of things. He wasn't going to let me go. You heard him. I could have reasoned with him, Emil. You don't reason with someone pointing a gun, Lillian. You are so fucking naive. Naive? Maybe that's true. It was so naive to engage with Anton in the first place, and I paid for my mistake dearly. Unfucking believable. That asshole nearly kills me. I almost drowned for the second time today, and you want to defend him. I'm not defending him, but him being wrong doesn't make you right. Fine. The next time I see you getting arrested, I'll do nothing. I wasn't getting arrested. Then where the hell was he taking you? I don't have a ready answer for Emil.
And in Emil's defense, again, I'm not I understand Lillian's points also. But I also understand Emil's points because he doesn't know German. He was like, damn, my partner is getting taken to jail. I gotta do something, you know? Whatever. Wow, complications.
How do I explain what passed between me and Anton? I hadn't even had a moment to process it. In absence of a reply, Emil reaches his own conclusion. He wasn't taking you, was he? You were going with him. He shakes his head at me. After everything you've been through today, everything we've been through, and you haven't learned a damn thing. He's wrong, but I'm too tired to defend myself from him. He talks about what we have been through, but it's clear there's no we here. I slogged in the mud back to the area where Emil and I were hiding before and start combing through the grass. What are you doing? I'm looking for Denham's leg. You risked your life for it. Why? Back in the boathouse, Denham told me to take it if anything happened. His brow knits in thought. He told us he was carrying his notes with him. Was he hiding them inside the leg? That's what I hope, but you aren't sure. I shake my head. He never said. Emil falls to his hands and knees and joins in my search. He is still upset with me, but at least he's letting the mission take priority. It all happened so fast. I doubt Herbert Denham thought things would end this way. The rustle of grass stops. I look up to see Emil frozen in place. Was it... Putain. What's the word? Watertight? I'm gripped with a sudden panic. How well constructed was this trick leg of his? A secret compartment may have kept Denham's findings from prying eyes, but did it also protect them from the elements? We resume our hunt, more frantic than before. It feels like ages before Emil pops up with the prosthetic in hand. Lillian! I scramble over to Emil. My fingers shake as I undo the laces of the shoe and pull down the soggy sock still adorning the leg. He turns the leg over in the moonlight, searching for hints of how it opens. We feel for seams, but find nothing. Something strikes me odd about the toes, though I can't say what. I try pushing and pulling each of the toes in turn, but nothing happens. Wait. I move my hand away, letting Emil attempt. He takes a big toe and gives it a twist. Oh. There's a click. A slotted compartment along the shin pops open. With bated breath, we slide the compartment out, unsure if we will find notes or just a pulpy mess inside. Oh, thank Christ. We remove a bundle wrapped in oilskin. Inside are a few compact surveying tools and rolled up paper, dry and intact. Emil's legs give out from under him, and he collapses onto the ground next to me. At first, I'm concerned, but he's smiling, relieved. I flip through the pages of notes and maps. Denham's slanted scrawl spells out of all his observations. Realizing I'm monopolizing the notes, I offer a portion of them to Emil, but he shakes his head at me. I don't give a damn what they say. We did not fail. That's all I need to know. What a relief.
Oh, poor baby got so cut up.
He gives a tired but happy laugh. Any ire he was feeling toward me is gone, replaced with a total contentment. I look back down at the papers in my hand, unable to muster the same joy as Emil. What is wrong with you? This just saved our asses. We won. We should go into town, find a post office. You don't want to take 5 fucking minutes to celebrate? No, I just want to go home. We need to send a cable, get the Bureau to wire us funds. Come on. Emil shakes his head as I roll the notes and Denham's tools back into the oilskin. I rise to go, but Emil struggles to stand. Whatever was fueling Emil through his pain before has run out. Taking his arm over my shoulder, we make our way slowly up the embankment and into Basel. It's hours before the town will awaken and the post office will open. We end up sitting outside, no doubt looking like a couple of vagrants. Our hairs and clothes are caked with mud and blood, and neither of us can really stand up straight, though Emil is in much worse shape than me. Mottled wine-colored bruises are beginning to materialize on either side of his gashed nose. Ooh. His lip is split in different places. I want to rest my head on something and try to sleep. Emil catches me eyeing his shoulder. You can use me as a pillow, you know. Though I'd prefer if you rest on my other side. This shoulder is very sore. It's a tempting offer, but I can't bring myself to lean on him. I hear him sigh. So, that's it, huh? What? Time to move on. My brow knits as I stare at him, trying to figure out his meaning. What are you talking about? Emil frowns and looks away from me. I mean, I understand we hardly know each other, and we fought some. But are we really not going to talk about what happened? He turns back to me with a meaningful look, and it dawns on me. Our kiss after we came ashore. He wants to talk about that. I bite my lip. Oh, that. Emil gives a short and unamused chuckle. Ah, oui, that. I debate with myself on what to say. I could tell him that it was only the heat of the moment, but that would be an insincere answer. I was feeling drawn to him well before he pulled me from the river. There is a chemistry between us, but I think neither of us can deny that we are attracted to one another. But don't you think that's sort of complicated? You know, given who we are, what we do. You had no problem complicating things with that German. Actually, that is true. Fair point. I respond with an admonished sniff and look down at my feet. Yes, I complicated things by getting involved with Anton, more than Emil could possibly know. He wanted to run away with me. What was he thinking? I didn't have a chance to respond to his proposal, but there's no way I could have gone through with it. Sure, it's a romantic option, but the consequences would have most certainly outweighed the thrill of it soon enough. I can't even begin to imagine what would make someone want to walk away from their entire life. Obviously, I don't know Anton at all. It can only be a good thing that we parted ways. I give Emil a sad smile. And I've learned my lesson. Emil accepts this with a sort of vacant nod, like he wants me to think that he's not that invested in my response. But I can tell from the set of his brow that he's disappointed. As he leans his head back and closes his eyes, a scowl stays on his face. Emil and I work on the same side, but something tells me that doesn't make him less complicated than Anton.
So true. Although I want it to be. I want it to work out between you two.
He came to my rescue more than once today, but he put me in a bind just as many times. Even if we tried to be friends, I'm not sure I could keep my heart from overriding my head. His unpredictable behavior seems contagious. I can't afford unpredictability, not in this business. Romance is a distraction and a risk. No, I'm much better off avoiding entanglements altogether. It might be lonely, but it's safer that way. I let these thoughts carry me through the small hours until morning. The sun's coming up, and Lillian is being bathed in the sunrise. The first gleam of the sun pushing its way up from the east fills me, if not with hope, a sense of certainty. I know what I have to do now.
Okay. Go, Lillian. She's committed to that spy life, and I love that for her. That is so wild, though. Like Herbert Denham dying, Anton leaving, giving back her papers. Emil's also alive, thank goodness. Wow. Okay, so the Anton route had a little bit of more something. I feel like feels more final in a way. I feel like this might have been like the ending. Because it feels like a lot happened. And it's also very realistic in ending on both sides. Huh. It is a shame. I want more romance in the sense of I want her to end up with Emil, but like I get where she's coming from. It's like, well, I can't complicate my life as a spy by like getting entangled with people, especially people who are in the same line of work as she is. I get that. But this has been so wonderful. Like overall, I've been so entertained by this entire thing that like I don't know. I'm still very enamored by it all, and I love the characters, I love the writing, I love like the music and things, and I'm gonna miss these characters a lot. I kind of want to see more of like Lillian in general, just like when she's not feh. When she's a bit more like more senior or like just more advanced in like her, you know, espionage skills and experience and everything. And this has made me want to go to Basel and La Roque and also just like see all that, check out these fun towns and things. Obviously in the context of modern day 2024. That'll be really interesting. But yeah, please let me know what you think. At the end of the day, I'm still an Emil's girl. I really like that we got to see a bit more of his personality in a different way, shine through in a different way on this route in this part of the story. And Anton did like honestly I did like Anton. Like God, it's just so complicated. I just want to like know more. I wish like it's like one of those things where I'm just like, dang, what are the chances that you as a spy on your first mission get like two potential romance like options and you can't be with either of them, or you decide that it's not good for you to probably be with either one of them, you know? Like I know it's the story and like whatever, it's all like, you know, planned and decided, but like what are the real chances? Because you know, it's complicated. It's not just like, okay, yeah, like obviously there's the whole like being on opposing sides and the war is happening and things. So that's one thing. But like also it's like these characters are much more complex than being like, you know, simply good or simply bad. I mean, they have motivations for like what they do and everything. And not to say like I agree with like I don't agree with their motivations, but it shows that it's not simply just like they do one thing only because of like one set of like reasonings. And we saw that with like Anton particularly, and that like when he and Lillian met, like they are absolutely drawn to each other, but like he was still trying to doing his job and things, and then she's also doing her job. And then we kind of see the same thing with Emil, where it's like they really butt heads and it's very much more apparent, but then like they still have this undeniable attraction to each other. So on both sides, here we are. I can't believe though, like Anton asked her to run away with him. Like, would she have actually said yes and then decided to like go back on it later on? I'm not sure. Would have been interesting to see that too. But anyways, you know, I could keep rambling. But we have all our CGs now because we've gone it forever. There were so many CGs. I didn't expect all these CGs to come out. So what did we get? We got like 1, 2, like 11 of them. That's fun. I mean, not the Herbert Denham one, but you know, which one's my favorite? Something lighthearted, something cute. Ooh, maybe Emil hugging Lillian over here, or them running when they were drunk, or dancing over here. That's cute too. Or their rings. Ugh. Anyways, I mean, as you know, I'm such an Emil's girl, so I like Emil. I want to see more. I was like, even in Emil's route, I was still open to the fact that like maybe Lillian might change her mind as she became more of like, it'd be like a complicated relationship, and you know they would, you know, still run into each other and have to do missions together and like whatever. I don't know if that was a true ending, the one that we just experienced, but there's one of them, like I think it was the first Emil route that I did. I feel like that was also a good option. Or maybe it's the second one, I can't remember. The one where they weren't drunk and they actually saved Herbert Denham and everyone went home, but that Herbert Denham's like, you shouldn't do these things, and then Lillian decides to break it off. Anyways, I'm spouting nonsense at this point because I really love this game. Love and Country. Guhuhu Games, I love you all. Thank you so much. The game devs, love them so much. Please support them. Check out more of their games or future games of theirs. Give love to Love and Country. Let me know if you prefer Emil or Anton or just Lillian in general, because she's like, I'm gonna get my bag and absolutely kill it in this espionage game, so I appreciate that. She's truly an inspiration, to be honest. And yeah, it's a little rough going on her first mission, but she got through it. At the end of the day, she got through it. And let me know, just let me know your general thoughts about Love and Country, because I absolutely loved it. If you liked the video, please press the like button. And if you'd like to see more playthroughs of visual novels on my channel, please feel free to subscribe. I am very excited for some of the upcoming videos that I'll be doing because I'm getting back into a game that has some routes and was just a demo last year. So like, I'm very excited about it. And I'm also excited about some other visual novels from game jams that I'm trying to catch up with. And another game that I am also currently trying to complete. But anyways, thank you again for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!